Okay, today we are looking at healing light, a simple path to healing. And this is a very simple idea that I want to share with you today, but I think it's a very powerful one. And I am using this particular photograph because it really illustrates visually what I want to talk about. And it's a way to think about what I want to talk about. So it's always good to have graphic, to help visualize. And in truth, spirit doesn't look like this. It's just a good way to hold in your mind a picture of something that is happening. And we'll get into that. But this, when I have a problem, and you may be like this, you may not, I tend to think about that problem probably more than the solution. Tend to think about the different aspects of the problem and how maybe it could be solved or what needs to happen for it to be solved. And so what we're going to do today is kind of bypass that knee-jerk reaction that we all have, or most of us have. Maybe I just have it, maybe it's just me. But for many, the problem becomes the focus of our imagination. If we have a health challenge, we're likely to dwell on what's wrong. With a spiritual approach, we start with a picture of wholeness. And in some ways, that seems exactly the opposite of what we should do, because, if you're in pain, if you have a pain, it's hard not to think about that, and it's hard not to think about all that's associated with that. So we're not going to try to pretend that the problem is not there, because that's a denial. That's a kind of denial that we don't want to engage in. The kind of denial we want to engage in is to say there is another way to look at this situation, and I'm willing to let go of the one that's trying to get my attention or that has my attention. I'm willing to say that that's one thing that's happening, but there's something else going on as well. So denial, as we use it in a spiritual sense, is the same as release. It's a releasing. So we're going to be talking about when that thing is playing in your mind over and over, when that you feel the pain and you feel the uncertainty, the challenge of whatever it is you're going through, that you can say there's another way to experience this, and maybe I'm not there yet, but there's another way. So denial in this sense means I'm willing to let go of what my body's telling me. I'm willing to let go of what maybe my doctor's telling me. I'm willing to let go of what the old carpet layer was telling me. I'm willing to take another look at a new possibility. And though that my body's saying that can't be done, my doctor's saying that can't be done, my carpet layer's saying that can't be done, it can be done. There's another way to look at it, another way to think about things. So I'm calling this a simple path. And it's simple because it's just that simple. It's changing our mind. It's taking all expectation off, okay, I'm going to change my mind. I want to be healed by 2:30 today. I want it to be done by, as soon as possible. Well, we do, of course. But we let go of all of that. We let go of how things work out. That, to me, is part of the healing process, because sometimes we set a path. It's got to be this way, it's got to be that way. And that may not be the way that it actually works out. And so I've said many times, this or something better. That's the attitude we have. When we are using the concept of denial and we say this or something better, denial in this sense is just the willingness to open our mind to another path, to another way of things working out. Because I have a mind, you have a mind, we have a lot of experience, we have history, we have things we've gone through, and we have things we've gone through that have caused us to preconceive, to think of things in a certain way. So the spiritual path, this is the old wineskin, new wineskin concept, to be willing to let go of the perceptions that we carry, to deny these, not to pretend like they're not there, but to deny them the power that we've been giving them. That's a big step. And it's a very powerful step. So our natural tendency, whatever problem we have, is to focus on that and to see it as something, it's a mountain we've got to have cast into the sea or whatever. But what Jesus said, when we say to the mountain, be cast into the sea, and we do not doubt in our heart, the focus is on do not doubt. Be willing to reprogram or to let go, to deny the power we have given to the old vision. And that will take practice. So it's good to, as I will talk about here, it's good to have special times when we do this, but it's also good as you're going through your busy day to recall this, to bring this to mind. Because there's nothing that says you've got to sit cross-legged with your eyes closed to become so still and try to let everything go, that's what's required to be healed or to be changed in some way. That is extremely beneficial to do. But have you ever sat down, closed your eyes, and your mind got busier? Or is that just me again? It's just sometimes that happens. When that happens, the very best thing to do is get up and go about your business and work with a walking type meditation, work with a visualization of some kind that you can do other things. I share several of those in my book, The Complete Soul. There's a chapter on different kinds of meditation, everything from walking to, I don't remember all the different kinds, but it's not always about sitting still someplace. We don't want to underestimate that because it's very important. But there's other ways to approach it. Healing, like prosperity, harmony in relationships, peace of mind, or any desired condition, begins at a specific point that engages all our executive faculties, beginning with imagination and faith. And those two are the ones we're going to focus on today primarily, but they're all important. Judgment, will, and elimination also play important roles, but imagination and faith are where we begin. So when we have a problem, we usually define it, and we usually envision what that problem is. We have a picture in our mind of what that is. And that's the use of the imagination, and it's so quick. We are so quick to form pictures that we don't even think about what it is we're holding on to. It's something we have to be conscious of, or we want to be conscious of. You don't have to do any of this. This is just another approach. It's a way to approach this whole thing. And that's, I think, one of the important things. You don't have to do this. What we're offering here is our ideas, another way to think about something you might be going through at this moment. And if it fits, wear it, do it, practice it. If it doesn't, you'll know that. But this idea of, we have 5 executive faculties, and I call them that because they are faculties we choose how we are to use them. And the imagination and faith are 2 of the most important, 2 of the most prominent, because we're always holding pictures of ourselves, of God, of life. We're in a argument with somebody, we have a picture of how that's all going and how it needs to go and what needs to be done and said, and all the things that need to be worked out there. We have a picture of that. So we're using the imagination all the time. And we have faith in that picture. We're pouring our faith into that picture. And if it's a negative picture and we're saying that's the reality, that's where we need to be aware of how we're using these 2 faculties. And to, specifically address this, because we are using them all the time. The question is, what do we want to use them for? What direction do we want to go? I've talked about faith as being like a telescope. You can point it to the ground or you can point it to the stars. It's the same thing. It's a faculty. It's an instrument that you point in some direction. It's going to be pointed someplace. So what do you want to see? What do you want to experience? So you may have a healing thing going on now. We want to point our faith in this idea that I am already whole. I'm already complete. And the picture that I have here of this sunlight breaking through the trees is a way to think of that. My wholeness, my soul is already this light. It's already fully engaged, already expressing in its fullness. And that's why I think, if you close your eyes and relax and just hold a picture like that sunbeam is inside of you, and it's a spiritual energy that is radiating out. What you can also do with this picture is you can say there's something beyond the trees. There's a sun, the source, unlimited. And the thing that gives the appearance of radiance is really an illusion. That when you get past the trees, that doesn't exist. So there's only God, there's only the sun, there's only the wholeness. And that's where we want to go. That's where we want our imagination to go and our faith to go, to say, my faith is in the sunlight that is coming through and the fact that the trees are not blocking anything. That if I get beyond the trees, the whole sun is there. That is, our whole connection with God is always present. So do I have faith in that? That's the question I ask myself. Is that what I believe in? Is that what I believe to be true? Or do I believe that there is blockage, that there is something blocking that light from shining through me? So it's kind of a personal inventory that we take when we're dealing with something. And naturally, when you are worried about something, your faith is in the worst outcome. It's in the worst picture. And that's a good signal. If you're worried, just ask yourself, where is your faith? And is there anything you can do about that? Or is this just all make-believe stuff, And if it is, why are we here? Why are we doing this? Do we do this just so we'll feel good on a certain day of the week? Or is there something to it? So we really have to do a soul-searching, do a questionnaire of ourselves. What do I really believe? What do I really think is true? It's okay if you drop down into doubt, fear, whatever. It's like the guy that his son was the epileptic, and I think I mentioned that last week, but he said, I believe, but help my unbelief. It's like, I want to believe. I want to be able to make this change, but looking at his son, Jesus said, how long has it been this way? He said, from birth. So that's a long time to think of something, to think of somebody in a certain way. How long have you been having this pain? Well, it's been quite a while. So it looks pretty real, and it feels pretty real. So am I willing to say, okay, it's there? As the man said, I believe it's possible to get past this, but help my unbelief. And sometimes we need that boost, that help. But we can all arrive at it on our own. But we have to stop the tape that's playing, the picture that's playing, and say, there's another reality, there's another way to look at this. And I'm open to that, open and receptive to it. So the spiritual principle we're talking about here, at the soul level, we are whole. The soul, being energy, is not subject to physical illness of any kind. We can visualize the soul as a radiant light of wholeness shining through our body, permeating every cell from within. We imagine this light doing the work of love, dissolving that which is not for our highest good and attracting that which is. What this says to us is we're not the ones that do the work. We don't have to do the work. And sometimes we think we do, that we have to really kind of huff and puff, close our eyes and squeeze our fist, make a fist, white knuckle our way through a challenge. But whatever you think about the soul, it exists. It's not something you made up. It's not something you created. It's not something you sustain. I think about the Egyptian priests that had their world convinced that if it wasn't for them, the sun would stop going across the sky. So you can imagine when there was an eclipse, like we had here, was it last week, sometime recently, that you could really raise taxes. You know, if you don't pay your taxes, I'm going to make the sun go away. So they would, and they knew when eclipses would happen. So there was this mind game that they could play with it. But in truth, they didn't do anything. The priesthood had nothing to do with the sun traversing the sky. In fact, the sun doesn't traverse the sky. The earth turns and it looks like the sun traverses the sky, but they had people convinced that that was true. Well, there's priests in our own heads that have us convinced of certain things as well. That certain things have to happen, or we have to make them happen for them to happen. But let's take a step in a new direction that says it's already happening. Whether we believe it or not, whether we know it or not, no matter what we think, no matter how negative we get, it's still happening. We cannot diminish the wholeness of the soul in any way whatsoever. But you can put yourself in a pretty bad mindset. I'm sure you've all found one of those occasionally. And that's your experience at that moment. So what we have this tendency to do is, since we grew up in a sin and punishment kind of environment, well, I thought negative all day yesterday, so I'm surely going to pay for that, you know, and let's deny that. Let's release that kind of thinking, because that's not how the sun works. If a cloud comes over, you know, it's nothing we did. It's not our fault. It's just the way it is. And we don't have to pray. You know, if the moon drifts in front of the sun and blocks it out, you could raise taxes if you believed the priesthood had that ability. But if you understood what was going on, you'd say, well, I don't have to do anything. Just wait. It'll pass. This too shall pass. Because there is a reality going on that I have nothing to do with in terms of making it happen. So you shift that kind of thinking into healing or any challenge that you're going through right now. There is wholeness present already. It's not something I have to make happen, not something I have to create. And I think we get that impression with our affirmations and so forth. And affirmations are very important, very powerful. But affirmations don't make anything happen. They put us in a right mindset, you know, where what happens is we may feel more comfortable. We may release the problem quicker if we're saying something positive to get our mind focused in the right direction. So we turn our faith to the truth of this picture by affirming something like this, and I just said affirmation. The healing light of my soul is now cleansing all impurities from my body. The healing light of my soul is now cleansing all impurities from my body. Let's say that together. The healing light of my soul is now cleansing all impurities from my body. This is where judgment, or faculty of judgment, comes in. Declare that in truth, this healing process is indeed taking place. This is a true judgment. Again, you can have the eclipse, but you know the light, the sunlight is not diminished. It's still shining, it's still there. And so when you make an affirmation like this, the healing light of my soul is now cleansing all impurities from my body. You're not doing that. You're not the one that's making that happen. You are simply acknowledging that it is happening. That's what an affirmation is. It doesn't make anything happen. It is the acknowledgement of what is happening. And so when you say something like this, you shift your emotion, your expectation over to a thing like, instead of saying, I want this to happen, give thanks that it is happening now, that it is complete now. The soul is complete now. Because again, your soul has never been ill a day in your eternal life, ever. And that's kind of hard to grasp because the body has been ill many times. And we say, I am not feeling so well. But you're speaking from your body awareness, not your soul awareness. Your soul awareness would always say, I am whole, I'm complete all the time. There's no doubt. But we are living in this vehicle, and we don't want to pretend like that's not a factor. As long as we have bodies, we're going to have issues. And so that's part of the thing you signed up for when you took on a body. So we're all kind of in that boat together, the same boat. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that because your body might be going through something doesn't mean you are a sinner, that you did something wrong and you're paying the price. That's another thing that we really need to look at, because I was exposed, and I'm sure most of you were too. The Gospels talk about who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind. You know, they related illness to sin. And so that carries over into our culture today, that we might call it lifestyle or something like that. And it's true that, you can maintain a real poor lifestyle and express illness as the result. Your soul will never change, no matter what you do to your body, no matter what condition you put your body into through a lack of attention. The body needs attention, just like your car needs attention. You know, we have two cars, and I drove one this morning, got here and realized I forgot the cell phone to the church, so I better go get that. So I noticed it was low on gas. So I left it at home and brought my other car. So we have to pay attention to these things. When my physical body is low on gas, I do something about it. I usually eat. But so, we're not saying that doesn't happen. We're not saying that it doesn't occasionally have a breakdown, that there aren't things that don't happen, or that things will happen. But anyway, that's when you affirm something, you're not trying to make it true. You're not trying to make it happen. You are acknowledging what is true. And I don't recommend necessarily memorizing affirmations, because when we do that, we tend to think the power is in those words. And so we paste them on our refrigerators, and we put them up on our medicine cabinets in the bathroom, and we put them in places where we'll see them and say them over and over and over again. Nothing wrong with that. As long as we understand that we're saying it not to make it true, but we're saying it because it is true. May not be true on the physical level, and that's where we're interested in. But it's true on the soul level, and that's the beginning point. That's where we start. That's where we start our whole chain of logic. My soul has never been subject to any limitation, any illness whatsoever. So I'm whole, and I'm allowing my wholeness to come forth. I'm affirming my wholeness is coming forth as it is. And so the faculty of will, do not try to force healing with your willpower. This is probably a tendency of most of us. Simply be willing to accept that healing is now occurring. Okay, there's a big difference in that. To affirm something, to try to make it true, is an exercise of willpower. If I say it enough, long enough, if I memorize it, if I have a big enough a collection of affirmations, I'll be well protected. If your mind is not willing, as Jesus asked the paralytic, been laying by the pool for 38 years, do you really want to be healed? The guy said, yeah, but I have all these reasons why I can't be. I can't walk, so I can't get down to the pool when the water's stirred up, and first person in is the one that gets healed, and I'm never there. So he had a whole lifestyle built around why it can't be done. Well, Jesus basically said, you don't need the pool. You don't need that to happen. You don't have to get there. So what would the man be praying for? He'd be praying for somebody to come and carry him to the pool. he would be trying to will people. He would ask probably for help. And Jesus comes along and says, you don't need that. That's not where the healing is. If there is healing because somebody makes it to the pool, it's because they believe in it. So I'm going to show you a different way. Believe in yourself. Believe that your wholeness exists already. Believe that you're not a paralytic, you are a complete soul. And that complete soul is manifesting through your body now. Now, I don't know if this story is literally true or not. Nobody knows for sure if there was an instantaneous healing, but there's been plenty of records documentation that instant healings do occur. But let's not try to make that happen, because we'll again be back into willpower. There was nothing about that man that was exercising willpower. Jesus was telling him something completely different than he was used to hearing. That was, you don't need somebody to carry you to that water. It's just water. What you need is the admission that you truly do want to be healed. If you truly want to be healed, you will open to a new idea. You're already whole. Take up your pallet and walk. Take up your pallet and go home. So that's pretty dramatic, and we don't want to make dramatic out of all this. But it's a good illustration, and all the principles that I'm talking about here are in that story, and basically all the stories that involve healing. Your faith has made you whole. What's that mean? It means you've shifted your attitude somehow. Your faith was in the problem, and now it's in the wholeness. So that shift occurs. It's like opening a floodgate in yourself. It's possible. This healing light's now coming forth through me. Or this prospering force, this whatever it is that we're needing in our experience, guidance. When we have a problem where we don't know what to do, that's usually the affirmation that we make. I don't know what to do. And we'll say it over and over, and we'll call our family, I don't know what to do. And they'll say, we don't know what to do either, but we'll pray for you. So what if you said, I do know what to do, even though you don't know what to do? It's a change of attitude. What if you suddenly entertain this possibility that you can take up your bed today and walk? That's a change in the way we think of ourselves and that our situation. Is that easy? I think Jesus had a lot of charisma. It strikes me that he had a lot of charisma, that he spoke to people and he got their attention. They believed him. And there's a lot to that. And because of that, we would say he had special power. To me, his special power was to awaken people to their special power. It's your faith that makes you whole. It's your faith that will make you well. Something in you can change and come forth and change the situation. And when we grasp that idea, like right now, if I'm going through something, to say that my wholeness is here now and it's shining forth. Can I believe that? Can I grasp that idea and take my mind off the problem long enough to let that come through? And then halfway through the day, do it again, or a few minutes down the road, any time. The ideal is to, every time we think of the problem, we don't think of it as a problem, we think of it as our light shining. We shift away from that mindset of limitation. Do not judge by appearance. So many things Jesus said support this idea of the wholeness of the soul. And it is present now, always. So the faculty of elimination, release all negative thoughts and images concerning this process. That's our faculty of elimination. That's what it does. Release the negative energy we poured into whatever picture we're holding. And again, don't expect instant results with this, but just understand the principle that Faith and imagination work together. What picture are you holding? What do you have faith in? What do you expect? The picture you're holding. Can you change that picture and then expect a greater good to result from that change? So we look at that. We take our own inventory. Our judgment is, we judge righteously. We judge right by saying, my soul now is complete. That's a correct judgment. It's a false judgment to say, I am incomplete because my body hurts. That's not true. It's true that your body hurts, but it's not true that you are incomplete. So that's the exercise of judgment, is judge righteously. My soul is complete now, and all of the healing light and essence that is available is here now. Am I willing to let that come through? And am I willing to release, all the things that don't coincide with that? You'll benefit by setting aside a special quiet time to do this prayer exercise. You can also do it any time throughout the day, even when you're busy doing other things, and I think this is really the valuable time. When you're going shopping, you're out and about town doing stuff, and you're thinking about this, think about it from the perspective of wholeness. You can do this. It doesn't cost a thing. It's memory. Will you remember to do it? And when the pain comes up, when the problem flares up, can you remember again when that happens? Just make it a part of your thinking, part of your perception. It's not that hard to do. But if you're going to do it expecting, okay, the pain comes up, so I'm going to make it go away, that's willpower. So let's take that off the table. Don't try to will a change. Just be willing to let the change occur. There's a major difference in those two things. You don't have to memorize the affirmation to invoke your healing vision. In truth, your vision is the affirmation. That's what's important. Jesus said to believe in your heart that your desire is coming to pass and it will be done for you. So give thanks that your healing vision is now manifesting through your body or through your circumstances, whatever the situation. It's not just healing. It can be relationships, can be prosperity, can be anything. The principle is exactly the same. Wholeness is already present. As a spiritual being, you have never lacked anything. And that's not an easy one for the intellect to grasp, but it's true that when you step out of your body, you will not ever know lack of any kind. You'll never know hunger. You'll never know how much it costs to travel someplace because it doesn't cost anything. It's a whole different realm, but we do have a body, and we want to take it into account. But we want to apply the principles of the soul to this experience. That's what spiritual learning is all about. You are a spiritual being, like we sang in the song. We're a spiritual being living in a material realm. So, is that good enough? Thank you for watching this week's program. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with others. We want to reach as many people as we can, and we appreciate your help. If you'd like to help support this ministry, just click the donate card at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Your financial support means a lot to us. We have many subjects in our video lineup, so feel free to take a look. If there's a topic you don't see and would like me to address, just put it in the comment section. I'd love to know what's on your mind. To subscribe to this channel, simply click our logo. Thanks again for your interest in independent unity, and have a wonderful week.